And I'm happy to note that companies in the Republic of Korea have proven their quality, their reliability, and good faith in negotiations. Governance standards are kept high. Therefore, we look forward to working with you on a sustainable and sustained basis.
When a Navy orders warships, it is never just buying steel. It is buying time, options, and leverage. In December 2025, the Philippines made exactly that kind of decision, quietly signing a contract that carries consequences far beyond shipyards and balance sheets. Manila confirmed an agreement with HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, facilitated through South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration, for the construction of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton guided missile frigates to be delivered by 2029. Valued at roughly $587 million, the deal marks one of the most consequential surface combatant acquisitions in Philippine naval history. On paper, this looks like a continuation of modernization. In reality, it signals something sharper: a deliberate shift from presence-based patrolling toward credible, networked deterrence. For decades, the Philippine Navy operated with limited air defense, modest sensors, and minimal ability to fight as part of a wider maritime system. These new frigates are designed to change that equation, bringing modern combat management systems, advanced sensors, and missile integration that allow ships not just to sail, but to see, track, and fight in contested waters. The timing is not accidental. Pressure in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea has intensified steadily, moving from diplomatic disputes to persistent gray zone encounters involving coast guards, maritime militias, and increasingly capable naval forces. In this environment, hull count alone does not deter. Capability does. Defense analysts cited by the Defense Post describe the deal as a significant leap in the Philippine Navy's ability to conduct modern, networked naval operations. A careful choice of words that points to interoperability, sensor fusion, and combat credibility rather than raw firepower.
In every mission, the Navy proves that maritime strength is measured by the character, clarity of mission, and the commitment of those who serve. That same commitment to duty was clearly seen in the West Philippine Sea and in other maritime outposts.
For the Philippine Navy, these frigates represent more than replacement tonnage. They reflect a doctrinal evolution, from reactive defense to forward-looking maritime control within an alliance-friendly framework. South Korea's growing role as Manila's defense supplier also matters. It signals diversification away from single-source dependence and alignment with partners that combine advanced technology, political reliability, and competitive timelines. In short, this is not a headline-grabbing arms race moment. It is something more durable. The Philippines is methodically building a surface fleet designed for the kind of maritime environment it now faces: crowded, contested, and constantly watched. These frigates will not change the balance overnight, but they quietly raise the cost of coercion, which is precisely what effective deterrence is supposed to do. Geography has always been the Philippines' greatest strategic asset and its most demanding responsibility. With more than 7,600 islands spread across vital sea lanes and an exclusive economic zone exceeding 2.2 million square kilometers, the country is, by definition, a maritime state. Its security, economy, and sovereignty do not begin at land borders, they begin at sea. This reality places the Philippine Navy at the center of national defense in a way few land-centric countries fully experience. That responsibility has only intensified in recent years. Tensions in the South China Sea, particularly around disputed reefs, shoals, and critical sea lanes, have shifted from episodic diplomatic disputes to constant, on-the-water pressure. Foreign Coast Guard patrols, maritime militia vessels, and gray zone operations now occur with increasing frequency, testing response times and endurance rather than triggering outright conflict. In this environment, absence is interpreted as acquiescence. Presence becomes policy. The economic dimension is just as stark. More than 90% of Philippine trade by volume moves through sea lines of communication. Any disruption, whether from coercion, miscalculation, or crisis, directly impacts food security, energy imports, and industrial supply chains. It is in this context that a senior naval official's remark, naval presence equals sovereignty carries real weight.
Modern surface combatants are not symbolic assets. They are the platforms through which maritime law, deterrence, and national claims are physically enforced. The decision to acquire additional next-generation frigates is therefore not an isolated procurement, but part of a broader doctrinal shift under Rehorizon 3 of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program, covering the 2023 to 2028 period. This phase marks a decisive transition away from decades of internal security focus toward credible external defense, a change driven as much by geography as by geopolitics. Rehorizon 3 places heavy emphasis on maritime and air domain awareness, integrated surveillance and sensor networks, and the ability to operate effectively alongside allies in a contested environment. These priorities reflect a recognition that modern defense is no longer platform-centric, but system-centric. Ships, aircraft, radars, and command networks must function as a single, fused architecture. Without capable surface combatants at the core of that system, even the best sensors and alliances lose operational meaning. The scale of commitment shows the seriousness of the shift. With a reported budget approaching 2 trillion pesos, roughly $35 to $36 billion, across all services, Rehorizon 3 represents the most ambitious modernization effort the AFP has ever undertaken. Crucially, this funding is not aimed at parity with larger powers, but at sufficiency, the ability to detect, deter, and deny coercion within Philippine maritime space. Seen through this lens, the new frigates are not merely additions to the fleet. They are enablers of a new defense posture, one in which the Philippines moves from reacting to maritime pressure towards shaping the operating environment itself. In a region where credibility is measured by what can be sustained at sea, that shift may prove as important as any single weapon system.
The agreement itself is notable not for surprise, but for precision. Signed in December 2025, the contract brings together the government of the Philippines and South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration under a framework that has become increasingly familiar in Manila's defense procurement. Foreign-assisted, tightly scoped, and focused on long-term capability rather than short-term optics. Valued at around $587 million, the deal covers the construction and delivery of 2 advanced guided missile frigates, with provisions extending beyond hull delivery. According to reporting by the Defense Post, the agreement also includes options for systems integration and post-delivery technical support. That detail matters. Modern warships do not reach full combat value at launch. They mature through software updates, sensor calibration, and crew integration.
By baking support into the contract, Manila is signaling that it wants ships that remain operationally relevant well into the 2030s, not platforms that peak on commissioning day. The choice of builder reflects continuity rather than experimentation. The ships will be constructed by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the world's largest and most experienced naval shipbuilders. For the Philippine Navy, HHI is not a new partner, but a proven one, having already delivered the Jose Rizal-class frigates that form the backbone of today's modern surface fleet. The new vessels are widely expected to be based on the HDF 3200 design family, the same platform lineage used for the Miguel Malvar class. This is a deliberate decision. Rather than introducing an entirely new hull type, the Navy is doubling down on a familiar design ecosystem. That choice simplifies training, logistics, and lifecycle support, 3 areas that quietly determine whether fleets actually deliver combat power. As Naval News has observed, the HDF 3200 emphasizes modularity, allowing future upgrades in sensors, weapons, and combat systems without extensive structural modifications. In practical terms, this means the ships can evolve as threats change. Vertical launch systems, radar suites, and electronic warfare packages can be enhanced incrementally, preserving relevance without forcing costly midlife overhauls. For a Navy modernizing under budget constraints, that flexibility is strategic insurance. Beyond the Philippines, HHI's track record adds confidence. The company has delivered major surface combatants not only to South Korea's own Navy, but also to countries such as Peru and other regional partners, an indication that its designs are adaptable across different operational doctrines and threat environments.
The timeline is aggressive but realistic. Construction is expected to begin in 2026, with completion and delivery targeted by 2029. This schedule aligns closely with the Philippine Navy's broader fleet expansion roadmap heading into the early 2030s, ensuring that new platforms arrive as doctrine, training, and support infrastructure mature in parallel. Equally important, the delivery window avoids the trap of capability gaps. By synchronizing these frigates with ongoing modernization under Rehorizon 3, the Navy reduces the risk of operating a mixed fleet where new ships arrive faster than the systems and personnel needed to support them. In effect, this is procurement paced to absorption capacity, not political calendars. The contract details reveal a pattern: disciplined acquisition, trusted partners, and designs built for evolution rather than display. In a maritime environment where relevance erodes quickly, that may be the most important feature of all.
At roughly 3,200 tons displacement, the new frigate sits squarely in the modern sweet spot for surface combatants, large enough to carry credible sensors and weapons, yet agile enough for sustained patrols and multi-mission tasking. Designed as true multi-role guided missile frigates, they are expected to perform across the full spectrum of naval warfare: anti-air, anti-surface, and anti-submarine operations. This places them in the same operational class as frontline frigates operated by regional navies such as South Korea, Indonesia, and Malaysia, a meaningful benchmark for a fleet that, until recently, operated well below that tier. What this tonnage really buys is endurance and flexibility.
These ships are not optimized for a single mission or a single threat. They are built to stay at sea longer, operate farther from shore, and remain combat relevant in crowded, contested waters. For the Philippine Navy, that translates into fewer gaps in coverage and a stronger ability to maintain presence without burning out platforms or crews. While final specifications will only be confirmed once officially released, reporting by Naval News and analysis of similar configurations offer a clear picture of the likely combat package. At the core is a vertical launch system, enabling the deployment of surface-to-air missiles for area and point defense, an essential capability in an era of proliferating drones, aircraft, and anti-ship missiles. This alone marks a qualitative leap from earlier generations of Philippine surface combatants.
Anti-ship warfare is expected to be handled by modern missiles, such as South Korea's Sea Star or an equivalent system, providing credible standoff strike capability against hostile surface vessels. Close-in defense would be layered through a close-in weapon system, potentially the Turkish Gökdeniz, offering last-ditch protection against incoming missiles and asymmetric threats. A 76mm main gun provides versatility for surface engagements, warning shots, and naval gunfire support, while torpedo launchers enable active participation in anti-submarine warfare, an increasingly relevant mission as undersea activity rises in regional waters. Equally important is what ties all of this together: advanced AESA radar capable of tracking multiple air and surface targets simultaneously. In modern naval combat, detection and tracking often matter more than the missile itself. These sensors allow the ship to see first, decide faster, and engage at longer ranges, advantages that define survivability in contested environments. Hardware, however, is only half the story. Recent defense contracts point to the Philippines' growing reliance on Hanwha systems for combat management systems, sensor weapon integration, and secure data link connectivity. This reflects a deliberate move toward network-centric warfare, where ships operate not as isolated units, but as nodes in a wider maritime and air defense network. According to reporting by the Korea Times, these systems are designed to allow real-time data sharing between warships, maritime patrol aircraft, coastal radar stations, and allied forces. In practice, that means a frigate does not need to detect every threat itself. It can receive targeting data from an aircraft overhead, cue its sensors from shore-based radar, or pass tracks to allied ships operating nearby. This multiplies effectiveness without multiplying holes. For the Philippine Navy, this integration is transformative. It aligns seamlessly with alliance interoperability goals and reinforces the shift from platform-centric defense to system-centric deterrence. The frigates become not just shooters, but information hubs, critical in a maritime environment where awareness, coordination, and speed of decision increasingly determine outcomes. These technical and operational features explain why the new ships matter far beyond their number. They represent a Navy learning to fight as part of a network, not just to patrol with flags raised. In today's maritime security environment, that distinction is decisive. The addition of 2 next-generation frigates materially changes how the Philippines can operate at sea, not by numbers alone, but by credibility. With modern sensors, missiles, and networked combat systems, these ships expand patrol coverage across the country's vast, exclusive economic zone.
enable safer and more reliable escort missions for both naval and commercial traffic, and raise the deterrent threshold against coercive behavior. As the Defense Post aptly notes, modern frigates function as both symbols and instruments of sovereignty. In practice, that means presence backed by capability, where visibility at sea is paired with the means to act.
Strategically, the acquisition sends a clear signal that Manila intends to respond to maritime pressure with sustained capability rather than episodic presence. It also deepens defense ties with South Korea, now firmly established as one of Asia's leading arms suppliers, valued for combining advanced technology with predictable delivery and life cycle support. Region-wide, the deal fits a broader pattern. Southeast Asian navies are modernizing in parallel, investing in platforms that emphasize sensors, missiles, and interoperability to manage a more crowded and contested maritime environment. These new hulls are not standalone assets. They are designed to integrate with existing platforms such as BRP Miguel Malvar and BRP Diego Silang. Together, they form the core of the Philippine Navy's future surface combatant fleet, standardized around compatible systems, shared training pipelines, and scalable upgrades.
This coherence matters.
Fleets deliver enduring power when ships, sensors, and crews evolve as a system, rather than as one-off procurements. The relationship with South Korea extends well beyond shipbuilding. It encompasses combat systems integration, secure data link technologies, and training and technical assistance, elements that determine whether advanced platforms achieve their intended effect. Over the past decade, South Korea has emerged as one of the Philippines' top 3 defense suppliers, a reflection of trust built through delivery performance, technology transfer, and sustainment support. Across Southeast Asia, procurement choices are converging. Navies increasingly favor South Korean and Japanese designs for their balance of cost, capability, and upgrade potential. The emphasis is on combat-ready platforms that can be modernized incrementally, preserving relevance over decades without prohibitive midlife refits. The Philippine decision aligns squarely with this trend.
High upfront costs demand sustained political and fiscal commitment over multiple administrations. Moreover, life cycle expenses, maintenance, upgrades, and spares often exceed acquisition costs over time. Success depends on budgeting for ownership, not just purchase. Advanced combat systems require advanced crews. Training pipelines must expand, and logistics networks must mature to ensure spare parts, software updates, and depot-level maintenance keep pace with operational tempo. Without this foundation, capability at commissioning risks erosion in service. Naval modernization can heighten strategic competition. Managing escalation risks will require careful diplomacy, confidence-building measures, and continued emphasis on rules-based conduct at sea, even as deterrence is strengthened.
The procurement of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton frigates from HD Hyundai Heavy Industries
marks a significant milestone in the Philippines' defense modernization. By enhancing readiness, interoperability, and deterrence, the program strengthens Manila's strategic posture amid a rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific security environment. Challenges in funding, training, and regional diplomacy remain, but the direction is unmistakable. The Philippines is committing to safeguard its maritime interests with a credible, modern navy designed for persistence, partnership, and resilience.
If you like the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for deep analysis of contemporary issues.